Seven's V8 Extra, proudly brought to you by the Enforcers Car Protection Agency and Super Cheap Auto, Header's 28-point check and report, and Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46.
I'd say Tander, just because he's a legend, and yeah, he does really well every year here, so, and I'm a Holden fan, so.
I know we're Holden, but we still like a good race, and whoever comes out on the winner of the day is best race.
Well, I used to follow Mark Sky, but he's not racing anymore.
Jamie Winkup. Ace and Jason who? Ace Jason Richards. Probably Mark Winterbottom.
HRT boys and the Kelly boys. My favourite driver went to Holden's, so I'm not really pleased about that. But anyone before this year?
Rick Kelly. I love the Kelly brothers, so yeah, I mean, they're cute and they're young.
Probably Frosty. He just seems to be the most consistent out of the Ford drivers at the moment. A bit unlucky, but yeah, he does all right.
We love V8!
Love our V8 supercar fans. Lots of passion out there. Welcome back to V8 Extra. Our special guest today is V8 Supercar Championship rookie from Jim Beam Racing, James Moffat, joins us. And James, in other sports, for example, in cricket and tennis and footy, there's an awful lot of coaching, there's a lot of coaxing for young blokes to get in the game. It's something we don't often see in motorsport, which I think is a problem in our business. Who's helping you?
Well, I've got a pretty good help in Dick to start with. Obviously, you know, I've got Dad as well, but probably at the moment Stephen is being a big help to me because he's been through it all at the moment. So we're getting on pretty well, and to be able to bounce questions off him is good.
That's surprisingly unselfish to hear that from within the team. That's great to hear. Mate, I worked with you a little bit, as I said, in Carrera Cup. I was a driving standards observer. You come and saw me a couple of times, which I really
Was he unfair? Was he one of
those? We had our disagreements.
Yeah, good.
No, but I credit to you. He was on the front foot. If you had an issue, you come and saw it. But what I wanted to ask is, as part of the stepping stone up to, you know, the development series and V8s, you think Carrera Cup's now not a bad option as part of that stepping stone?
Absolutely. I sort of, you know, the last couple of years we haven't had it on the national racing calendar for a few reasons, but for it to be back this year I think is fantastic because it really was a big step for guys coming out of Formula Ford that really had no other option but to go straight into the development series. Yep. So I think having Carrera Cup back there, and like I touched on it before, the competition at the front of the field is as good at the front of the field in the development series. So, you know, for young guys coming up, if they can be competing against the likes of Craig Baird, and we saw Scafie have a run at the Grand Prix, you know, that's a good benchmark for those young kids.
We need stepping stones. So out of that, and then now in the main game, so part of the main game for a rookie now, you have to also get involved in this economy type stuff and managing your fuel and your tyres. Is that complicating things for you as a rookie? I mean, it's hard enough, I know, just driving one of these cars.
Yeah, well, it's definitely part of the game these days with the smaller fuel tanks, and strategy is a big part of the race.
So the guys do get on the radio and say to you, conserve fuel and do different things like that? So
absolutely. So, you know, we've got target numbers on our dash, and it is hard to, you know, be able to keep the lap time up and conserve fuel at the same time.
For a young bloke, isn't it? It really is.
Well, especially seeing that just achieving lap time is hard enough in its own right, let alone playing...
That was all
That's right, let alone playing a strategic game in the back of your mind as well. Very shortly coming up after the break, we're going to have a King G pit crew profile, but on the subject of fuel and economy, Larko, thank you very much for leading us to this one. Let's have a look at a little yarn you've done here to go through the details of just how it's managed from the pit bunker.
Now, I know you've all been watching all the telecasts, and what's become really obvious in the modern era is the emphasis on fuel economy. Now, I wanted to get to the bottom of this and show you some of the really critical things we can do to get better fuel economy in a car, because races are now won and lost very much on fuel economy. To me, there's really three pillars, I reckon, in this whole fuel economy race. First one, I'd like to hear a little bit from you, is RPM. We know the engines do 7,500 RPM. So when you say to a driver, cut your revs, what does that mean?
Three things they can do. Basically cruising or, you know, lifting, driving more smoothly, but they simply lift and roll into the corner, so they drive as fast as they can and then lift but don't brake. They sort of coast into the corner. That's the biggest saving that's easy on the car. The other one is short shifting, where we normally change at 7,500. Well, we'll ask them to change at 7,000. It's more difficult to do because it requires changes in the point they do gear changes. Here, it's almost impossible with some of the corners. And but also the gear cut doesn't work, so they then have to clutch or lift. So they get a little bit out of sync.
Target's changing every minute, so we're looking good right now.
Just quickly, what are the sorts of things live in the race that you're looking at here to monitor fuel consumption and usage?
Our primary one, timing, and this one here where we actually monitor the fuel usage of the car. We have a window where we've got a target number that we want the drivers to reach, and we obviously know we have to get to lap X if there's no safety car. And then if we need to, we can get the drivers to change this fuel trim switch.
Position 4, and you need to conserve.
And then we give them a target number they have to drive to, so we'll tell them a number and they have to drive, and if they aren't driving slow enough, they back off a bit more. They hate it.